In my garden, I have a life-size statue of myself astride a unicorn.
Seems reasonable enough, David.
Where do you get one? I mean,
it was
I
a
want
prop
one.
from a show. A prop from a show I did. It's not made of stone, it's made from polystyrene or something, but it's been painted. It's a bit weather-worn now.
And what was the show?
It was it was a New Year's Eve thing for Channel 4, Hello 1993 or something.
Well, why did Hello 1993 need a statue of you on a unicorn?
Well, it was the 90s.
You touch it up every now and again, every spring, give it a repaint, or...
I have a man for that sort of thing.
Oh, right.
You don't have to touch up its horn yourself?
No.
Did you ask for the unicorn, or was that forced on you?
Well, it was part of the set. You know, like you have these sort of bumper car things for this set.
Yes, I see that.
When this comes to an end, you may want to take one of those home. Same.
I'd like to have this in my house, and I'd like to address my wife from it every night. On to round 3, foreplay, and if you get through that, who knows what might happen. So it's in the garden. Is it part of a water feature? Is it on a lawn?
It's on a plinth, on a few bricks.
A few bricks.
Which is it? A plinth or a few bricks? Because when cars have had their wheels taken, they don't say, "Oh, look, that car's on a plinth."
Well, I call it a plinth.
How nice.
What do you think then, David?
Yeah, what do you think, Ronnie?
I think it might be a lie.
Really?
Would it be in the garden for this long, I asked myself.
Well, it could... I mean, it could be in a bit of a state.
Seriously
by now.
dilapidated.
Yeah. A sort of a decaying image of yourself on you. That'd be quite a reminder of your own mortality on top of a mythical beast.
I have a similar thing in my house. It's called a mirror. So what are you going to say, David?
I think it's true. I thought it was true from the first time you said it. I didn't need any backup.
You think it's a lie?
I think it's true.
I think it's a lie.
Well, I think on balance, I think it's true.
OK, David's saying it's true. Julian, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
It was a lie.
Oh.
Yes, it's a lie. Julian doesn't have a life-size statue of himself astride a unicorn in his garden. The traditional method for hunting a unicorn is for a fair maiden to sit alone upon the grass, and after a time the unicorn will approach. This is also the traditional method for catching flashers.
I have a didgeridoo suspended from a tree in my back garden so that when the wind blows in a particular direction, it pops soothing sounds of the outback into my bedroom window.
David's team, what do you think?
Pops soothing sounds of the outback.
Yes.
What a poetic way of putting it.
Thank you.
Do you genuinely believe that that particular instrument makes a pop?
How would you describe it, Greg? And how soothed do you feel?
Everyone stop popping!
I get this every night in my house, please.
Where is it, Bob? It's in a tree.
Yeah.
And you made a conscious decision to put it in the tree?
Yeah.
I thought you said it was hanging from a tree.
What it is it's trapped in a V. I was like, is there a name for that area of a tree? Is it called the Clooney or something?
It's called...
Clooney?
What's it not to believe George Clooney's holding a didgeridoo of a tree in his garden? Why don't you believe this?
This part of your finger there is called the Clooney.
Is it?
So I'm assuming...
I never knew
That's
that.
why I said Clooney. I know it's Clooney. Where it... And it's wedged there.
It's wedged in the tree's V.
Yes, it's wedged horizontally in the tree's V, facing southeast, which is the prevailing wind where I live.
Where do you live? Not Britain.
Britain.
No, the prevailing wind in Britain is southwesterly.
It doesn't happen every night.
So tell us what this sound does for you, then. You're lying in bed at night and you had a lovely day, you're just settling down, and you hear... And then what happens to you?
I'm soothed. And the mind is soothed. Do you know you get things that will do the same thing to, say, your throat?
Yes.
It does it to the mind.
What if your brain's fine? You don't want to hear that every time it's windy.
You're always soothing your brain, that's what sleep is.
Hence the success of the pillow.
Yeah.
Can I just say, though, Bob, I've been led to believe by out-of-work hippies over the years that the didgeridoo is an incredibly difficult instrument to play, and yet it would appear that all one has to do is to pass air through it.
No, you have to position it correctly, just as you would have to over your mouth. I've done that by utilising the Clooney of a tree.
You're using the Clooney of a tree as human lips. You can get any kind of noise out of a didgeridoo. The Clooney, which it doesn't exist, on Bob's tree, would have to be flesh-like, because an Aboriginal doesn't just go through it, because it's not just wind, they use their lips.
Very good point. Very good point. Just coming up this time of year, I admit it's a lot better. In fact, I have a wisteria that grows through the didgeridoo.
Of course.
And when the wisteria comes into leaf, not only does it pipe the wind towards the didgeridoo, but it acts as the lips.
It's long been said that if the wind blows in the right direction through wisteria, it can play any instrument in the world.
It's time to decide, David.
OK, we need to make a guess.
What are you going to say?
I think it's a lie.
Of course it's a lie.
We think it's a lie.
I think it's a lie. Well, Bob, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was lying.
At the bottom of my garden, I've built a replica Stonehenge.
Please, team.
How big is this Stonehenge?
Yeah.
In relation to the real Stonehenge?
Big enough.
What's it made out of?
Stone.
What type of stone?
Can I just check, how big is this Stonehenge?
I would say probably half the size of the original.
That's still massive.
Wow. So why?
Well,
around?
my garden faces south. And I think if you've got a nice-sized garden, you've got to have a reason to walk to the end of it.
Here's a question. The great mystery of Stonehenge is how they did it. How did they get the stones on top? It's never been solved. How did you get yours on top?
Yeah, a crane.
Oh, yeah.
How did the crane get in the garden?
I've got a little road that runs up the side of the garden.
Oh, that's handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who did you get to do it for you?
Eh?
Who did you... Don't give yourself time to think. The old classic, would I lie to you, hey?
Yeah.
Hey? Could you say it again, Lee, but really slowly? Give me a minute.
Sorry, Lee, say that again?
Yeah. Who made it for you? Who did the building work?
If I remember right, his name was Peter.
Do you use it for anything?
Well, I always thought if one of my girls got married, you know, one day...
That is one confident boyfriend that's going to come round and say, Mr. Winston, I'd like to marry your daughter.
What? Well, he wouldn't talk like that, would he?
So what do you think, Lee? Is this true?
It can't be true.
I think it's
No,
so
not
weird
for me,
it might
no.
be true. It's so
I think it's a load of old codswallop.
We're definitely saying a lie to
You're saying it's a lie. Ray Winston, truth or lie?
It's true.
Oh, my God!
Yes, it's true. Ray has built a replica Stonehenge at the bottom of his garden. And we have a picture. There it is.
One Saturday morning, I lay on my back in the garden and pretended I'd fallen off a ladder so that I could get out of a family trip to IKEA.
David Steve.
What had you been supposedly doing on the ladder to fall off it?
So, my wife said we're going to IKEA, and then you should be upset if I said no. So I said, yeah, no problems. Can we go in about an hour? She went, yeah, no problems. Why? And I said, because I've got to do something in the garden.
Yeah, what were you doing?
Trimming the tree.
So you said, OK, we can go to IKEA in an hour. I've just got to go and trim the tree.
I didn't say I'm going to trim the tree, obviously. I said I've just got something to do in the garden.
Why is it so urgent that this tree needed to be trimmed?
You're not following this story, are you, Sean? I didn't need to trim the tree.
Yeah, but surely wouldn't she go, we'll do it later?
Because it was a casual conversation. We're going to IKEA. Can we go in about an hour? I've just got to do something in the garden. She went, yeah, fine. And that was it. Right. We don't live in a relationship where I go, can we go to IKEA? I go, can we go now? I'm doing something in the garden. She doesn't sit me down, put a spotlight on me, and go, just a sing in the garden.
OK.
But you did topiary last week!
So you say you've got to do something in the garden. She says, fine. So you walk out into the garden.
Yes. Go to the
Explain
shed.
how you set the scene.
I go to the shed, right?
Yeah.
I pick my tool wisely because I want to make sure that when I've fallen with it, that it looks dramatic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So what did you
Bit of
pick?
secateurs, nothing. Those big giant ones. You know which one I mean? They look like those old-fashioned bull workers, but they've got a pair of scissors at the end.
With a telescopic handle.
That's one. I still need a ladder. They're not going to get me on that.
Do you climb to the top of this ladder? Do you actually...
I don't need to, do I? There's no trimming to
So no...
be done.
Are you fucking...
Anyone else? There's no... I'm not Robert De Niro. I'm not Method. I didn't have to go. I must become the tree trimmer.
Your wife must think you're pretty bad at it if you can go out and presumably instantly fall off the
I didn't
ladder.
say I fell off instant. I know she's going off to do something
Well,
else.
they're not
She
noticed.
says, I'm going to the shops then. So I know she's out. So I position
So
everything.
she says in advance of going to this shop, she's going to the shop.
No, it's an expression that people say, I'm just popping to the shops. They don't go, I pop into the individual
it's not
shop.
an expression, it means going to the shop.
No, it doesn't.
What, is it a euphemism in your house for what? Having a poo?
I pop into the shop.
Is it
You're going to get me on one letter. All right, I pop into the shop.
She said she was popping to the shop now. Shop singular in advance of your trip to the shop.
She might have said shop. It's one letter. Give me a break. It's series 9. She may have said shop.
Can I ask
or shops. I'm just popping out. In fact, she said out. I'm popping out.
She's popping.
She was popping out.
So. OK, so she has left the house.
She's left the house.
So
She's
you
gone
know
to
you've
the
got.
shop. To buy a curly whirly or curly whirlies. I'm not sure. She's gone out. I know she's going to be gone enough time for me to get a ladder, lie it on its side, do the secateurs, and lie there in a position that I would describe as
Can I ask
injured.
this question? Why didn't you want to go to IKEA?
I think I'd go to IKEA to get out of trimming a tree.
I didn't need to trim the tree.
So your wife comes back from the shop before going to the shop, for whatever reason.
And we find that, weirdly, that the different shops sell different things.
Okay.
So I have tried the old, when she goes, I'm just going to buy some potatoes, I've gone, why don't we wait till we're in IKEA? And she said, no, you can't buy. It turns out that different shops sell different things.
So your wife comes back from the potato shop to
No, it's not called the potato shop.
You've finished trimming the tree and fallen off a ladder.
Yes.
How much of the tree did you get done?
Did you claim specific injuries that you'd done? When you said,
Yes.
oh, I've just generally hurt us, what? What had you done? What did you say it hurt?
I went, ah! My leg! She went, what's up with it? I said, I don't know, but I can't go to IKEA. And I claim to have injured my coccyx.
How long had she been gone?
It was probably 4 or 5 days this time. I'd say probably about 15 to 20 minutes.
Did she still go to IKEA?
Yeah, no, what did she do then? You're there in agony.
She came to help me.
She helped you up.
She helped me up. She tried to get me stood up. I held the base of my back. Is that what the coccyx is?
Yeah.
I held the base of my back. And she said, you better come inside and sit yourself down. I said, but what about the trip to IKEA? I feel I've let you down. She said, no, that was years ago. I think the bit where I was pushing it, when I shouted, love, can you put that ladder away? I don't want it to go rusty. I might need that in a couple of weeks when we go to Boots.
So what do you think, David? Is this true?
What do you think?
I think it's a lie.
I just think you'd save that for something a bit more...
You think it's a waste?
Well, yeah, it's a waste of an opportunity to get out something.
Like
a family Christmas, you could get out of a whole Christmas.
So what are you going to say?
I think we think it's a lie.
You're saying it's a lie. Lee, truth or lie?
It's a lie.
It's a lie. Lee didn't pretend he'd fallen off a ladder to get out of a family trip to IKEA.
I recently shooed a fox out of the garden by squirting it with water. 5 minutes later, I watched in horror as it returned with its brother and ate my plimsoll.
Please, team. What do you think?
I've never heard anything so middle class in all my life.
I'm on
want to picture it. So you're in your house and you see the fox in the garden. Now, you don't, with the greatest respect, you don't strike me as overly nimble.
No, I'm not overly nimble, but I'm just nimble enough.
Between 1 and 10, how quickly were you in the garden?
I went out in the garden at top speed for me,
Yeah.
which I'm afraid is now 6.7.
Anyway, you come out into the garden, you've got the hose, you see the fox.
And he sort of moves away a bit, shows a certain degree of fear of the alpha predator. He sees me and he thinks, do you know, I think I'm safe with this guy. And I thought, well, I can't have this. I can't have the fox thinking it's won. If I lose my power to frighten off foxes, what am I?
Can I answer that?
So I grab my hose and I swizzle some water at the... I don't want to soak the poor creature.
Did you put your thumb on the end?
So I did put my thumb on the end and I directed some water sort of towards the lawn, just kind of between him and me. Yeah. And that's enough. He's off.
I bet he went, after the fox went off, I bet he went.
Yeah.
I forgot he hadn't turned it off. Looked round sheepishly and thought, I better get those plimsolls.
Are you in your pyjamas?
I was wearing normal clothes.
Well, David, we've got a different opinion of what normal clothes
Yes,
Did you?
It was black tie, not white tie.
So, in a nutshell, you had a fox in your garden, you come out, water the thing out the garden, then a little while later, it comes back.
Two of them come back.
Two of them.
Now, where are you at this point?
I'm in the kitchen.
Right.
Noticing they've come back to the garden, thinking, dear, oh dear.
There was deer there as well.
and then the fox, and then one of the foxes goes and grabs this plimsoll that I keep by the shed.
Why?
For walking around the garden.
One plimsoll?
What? No, there's two. I keep two.
Tiny suggestion, why don't you keep the plimsolls near the back door so you don't have to get your feet wet if it's raining?
Well, you're full of home improvement ideas. I don't know, because I'm a moron.
What happens to the plimsoll?
One of them savages this shoe.
What's the other one doing?
I don't know. I don't speak fox.
If you want to do a proper impression of a fox, I know a woman. Providing you're a tad gullible, we'll show you exactly. So go on. So
I said, hello, Mr. Fox. I'm trying to communicate with you. Perhaps you could stop pooing on my lawn.
Right, Lee, what are you thinking?
Fundamentally, no Englishman leaves a pair of plimsolls as his garden footwear and keeps them by a shed.
So you're saying it's
a lie?
It's a lie?
Yeah, I think it's a lie.
Well, I'll go with my team, even though I think it's true.
Saying it's a lie. OK, David. Squirting foxes in the garden, truth or lie?
It is a lie.
I thought it was a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. David didn't squirt water at a fox only for it to return and eat his plimsoll.
As a kid, my parents denied me chocolate, so every Easter, I had to run around the garden and hunt the Easter onion.
The Easter onion, yes. David, where'd you begin?
Them were the days.
Why were you denied chocolate?
It's not good for you, is it?
And why did you hunt an onion? Why didn't you just say, I don't give a damn where that onion is. It's not a treat.
Well, you do what you're told to do, innit? As a kid.
So you would look for the onion, and you would find the onion, and you would say...
I'd say, da ist die Zwiebel.
What?
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 Well, they in Germany say, there's the onion.
What would happen then?
Then I would hold it aloft. And...
like a World Cup.
And at what point in your family's Easter celebrations would the onion hunt occur?
Well, when on Easter Sunday.
On Easter Sunday, in the morning on Easter Sunday...
I would be out in the garden.
So, but before your parents were up, you were already out there.
Henning, do you get on with your parents?
Very well, yeah.
Are they nice?
Yeah, I mean, my father is dead, but he was a really jolly fella, and yeah, my mother is all right, yeah.
I'm glad you didn't do the speech at the funeral.
Once you track the onion down, Henning, would you tuck into it?
Yeah, you have a bite.
Raw?
So,
of course.
So you're very pleased, you held the onion aloft, and then you took a bite out of it.
I do feel like you're more enchanted by onions than we are.
But they mean a lot to me, because I knew Easter Sunday was time to go in the garden and hunt the Easter onion.
What are you thinking, Rachel?
I was half believing him until the biting into it.
They're quite solid, aren't they? It's like a tennis ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing is, I can bite into an onion because I wasn't allowed chocolate. That means my teeth are good.
Yeah.
Would your mother and your father, when he was alive, would they share the experience?
He would occasionally bite in an onion.
You'd hold it aloft, they'd say, "Well done, little Henning," and they'd all, look what Henning has done. And then, he's holding it aloft, quick, get the camera. And then, would they also tuck into the onion?
He was. Just thinking of that onion makes me eyes water.
What do you think? Is that truth?
What do you think?
Well, even though he started crying at the memory, I don't... They're crocodile tears.
He does seem very moved, doesn't he?
What do you think, Alex?
I hope it's true, but I think it's not.
I think it's a lie.
It's a lie. You're saying it's a lie. Henning, did the Easter Bunny bring an onion?
Sadly, it's a lie.
On a dark winter's night, I once broke into the garden of the local witch's house and was shocked by what I found there.
David, Steve.
OK, at what point...
There's a lot of questions, isn't it?
At what point in your life did this happen?
I'm going to guess somewhere between when I was 11 and 13.
12?
I'm going to say 12.
And you say the local witch's house. What do you mean by that?
I mean, this is a very distant memory now.
OK.
It was the house, not very far from me, where all the kids said that the witch lived.
And who did live there?
I don't know their name.
Right.
I'll call them Mary Candles. It had hedges at the front, you know, it's like uncut hedges, a front gate covered with hedging, and it said on the front gate, it said simply the words, "No thanks."
No, really?
So that's quite creepy, isn't it?
Can I ask a question? You started that with saying you were shocked by what you saw there.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, so shocked by what I found there.
So what did you find there?
I'm not comfortable with telling you that just yet. Sorry, I'm not.
This is going so far, it's got to be a lie, isn't it?
Let me just say, it does not have to be a lie. Whatever he says, however absurd, it could still be true. However plausible, it could still be a lie. It's just, essentially, what we are doing for this section is entirely futile. We will talk for a bit, then we will guess, then it will be over.
So how did you come to go into this house? Who were you with?
I was with, what's he called? I was with Ken Numbers. I changed it, yeah. Ronnie Calculator's son. The vibe is, it's very unkempt, it's the gardening, because as we all know, Lee, yeah, witches hate gardening, and wizards hate plumbing. So we knew it was a female residence.
Right. So you'd never seen Mary Candles, but you were only speculating it must be a witch rather than a wizard because it was an unkempt garden with no sign of deficient plumbing.
Exactly. And, we wanted to be the first people who said, no, we penetrated, its boundaries.
Yeah.
We went into the front lawn, down a gate to the side, past the bins, past the back door, and then to the window where there was a light on, a big picture window, looked inside, and that's when we saw this extraordinary sight. Well, extraordinary to us as 12-year-olds.
What was it? You've got to say.
It was a tiny, tiny horse. And I'm not saying it was watching television, that was all that was in the room, was a tiny horse and a television on. I did get in the house.
You got in the house?
Yes, Mrs. Candles came out.
Right.
Oh.
Yes, and she said to me, you're one of the Mortimer boys, aren't you?
Were you?
Yeah. So Ken said. And she said, would you like to come in and see the horse? And she took us in, and it stank of paraffin. It was hot.
That's horse?
Hot. No, that was the house.
I thought about the horse stunk of paraffin.
The horse did stink, actually.
Did he?
Yeah.
Of?
Meat, hot meat. As we were looking at the horse, I always remember this, she came in, and she had a toilet seat in her hand. And she said, if I gave you some money, do you think you could get rid of this for me?
What did you do with it?
Just threw it on our way home, just threw it somewhere else, I imagine.
Did she say what the horse's name was?
Max.
Mack.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'd have thought minimum.
All right, well, now, Suggs, what are you thinking about this?
I mean, it's so preposterous, but David's flung me by saying this is the way it carries on anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Same.
I mean, but no, I'm saying lie, of course.
You say it's a lie.
It was when you said the horse smelt like hot meat.
Well, do you remember the detail of the paraffin heaters?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We're talking 40, maybe 50 degrees there with those old...
40 or 50 degrees centigrade. So we're talking like the temperature of the desert in Saudi Arabia.
Did you ever see Mary Candles again?
No, never.
Never saw her again?
Never saw her again.
She probably melted in that heat.
All right, what are you going to say then, David?
Do we think lie?
I think it's a lie. I think it's a lie.
I think it is a lie.
All right, they're saying it's a lie. Now, we should bear in mind that when it comes to Bob, David has a very poor track record. Let's see if he can be better tonight. Bob, truth or lie?
I was telling the truth. As a teenager, I used to terrorise my neighbourhood with a game I invented called theft and shrubbery.
What were the rules of theft and shrubbery?
Can I first of all say my memories of this are a bit sketchy?
Always handy for this game.
I'm an older gentleman. They're more like just fingerprints on an abandoned handrail.
Even while you poetically describe the ageing process, another part of your brain is inventing the rules of a fiction.
It's theft and shrubbery. Yeah. It's a game that I played in my youth, in my teens, on the Lakes estate in Middlesbrough. I would probably be 14 or 15. I hope that's all the information you need.
As to what this game involved?
Yes, of course.
Of course. In which case, I'm satisfied and there's no need to tell me. What were the rules?
There would have to be a gang of you. I would usually be with Staver and Bagger.
Well, I didn't realise you knew hobbits as
Neil Overall, Jerry Dungaree's son.
Didn't take his father's name.
Hated him. So, and Gary Cheeseman would be there. Gary Cheeseman was a big lad, yeah? A very big head. Sniper's dream, they used to call him. He's such a nice... The thing is, he's such a nice lad. And he was a...
I love these points in the show where we say, Bob, let's all gather around the fireside. And you can tell us tales of your youth.
So the rules of the game, of course you will not.
Theft
The
and
rules of
shrubbery.
the game. Theft and...
Shrubbery.
Shrubbery. They're relatively simple. You had to creep into the back of someone's house and observe the family watching the telly or whatever they're doing, yeah?
It's getting a bit sinister now, Bob.
Yeah, I know.
Is this at night?
This is on the evening time, yeah.
So the family, as it were, backlit by the domestic lighting.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you'd find one where the curtains were open, yeah? Go to the rear of the garden and then you'd slowly walk towards the window. Right? Try not to disturb them. And you'd chant, increasing the volume as you went. We do beg your pardon. But we are in your garden. And then you gradually get closer and closer to the window. And as soon as you were seen, that's when shrubbery comes in.
Which was what?
You were not allowed to escape via the front of the property. You had to go across all the fences. Because you're teenage, what you're really waiting for is someone to make a noise or give yourself away so that you all have to go run through all the gardens.
That's the shrubbery part.
That's the shrubbery
What's the
part.
theft part?
The theft is... We just always felt that we were stealing something from them. I don't know. Their privacy, their dignity.
So you're going up the garden saying louder and louder, we do beg your pardon, we are in your garden. We do beg your pardon, we are in your garden. You're shouting.
How loud
elderly people who are hard of hearing, you could be going, we do beg your pardon, we are in your garden, before they notice it.
Yeah.
This game can't have lasted, I'm imagining, very long before people kind of rumbled you and...
No, it was just one of the games, that we did. It could be theft and shrubbery night. There was another night where we used to take fruit from a fruit vendor's wagon and throw that up in the air and just let it drop on our heads.
Something tells me you played that quite a lot, Bob. Next time, don't use melons.
Cheeseman was very good at it.
So what do you think, David?
Steve, what do you
My
think?
concern is that the details are so utterly believable and sound like they're real that if it wasn't actually a game, he spent an awful lot of time looking through people's windows.
I'm coming down on the side of truth.
Yeah, I know it sounds odd, but I just believe it.
You're going to say true? Yeah. OK, so, theft and shrubbery. Bob, truth or lie?
I was telling the truth.
Possession.
Ah, now, behind you, there is a possession. Could you bring it to the desk, please?
Ooh. Oh.
OK, now pop it on the desk.
Oh, yes. There we go.
Oh, right.
This should be easy. Right, just get rid of that. This is the black cloth that I used to have to stop the sunlight waking me up in the morning.
Now, I think you're being deliberately obtuse for comic effect.
There we go. These are my uncle's bagpipes. Years ago, I used to go busking and would pretend to play them while miming along to a speaker hidden under my kilt.
David's team.
How long ago was this?
Oh, this was years ago.
Years ago. Just think of the size of speakers years ago.
What, give us a taste of the size of the speaker.
No, it was about so big.
Can you pick them up and show us how you
Show us
told
how
them?
you would style this out with the bagpipes.
Well, how you hold the bagpipes?
Indeed.
OK, well...
Confident.
So, you get this bit. You get this bit like that, and then you swing that like that, and then You stand like that, and then...
Is that one meant to hang there?
Yeah,
like
that's to hide the wire.
Must have been a strange sensation having something hanging that far down.
Well, it's not so much how far down it was hanging, it was the noise it was making that was different. I didn't supposed to do that. I'm sorry. We've done all we can for your octopus, I'm afraid we had to put it down.
When you're ready, just press your crotch.
Go.
And here's the music. Are you blowing the wrong one?
I had it upside down.
I will say, so far, it's very convincing.
Yeah.
Now, a group of small children have come and sat, and they're transfixed by what they see. Oh, this is lovely. This is... Oh, all right, we've suffered enough.
Yeah. You wonder why they want independence.
Did anybody ever rumble you?
Yeah, I was rumbled, yeah. I was rumbled on a few occasions.
Well, there's quite a lot of Scottish people visiting London as well.
There is,
were they insulted, or did they find you out? You know,
they'd say, like, oh, where are you from? And I'd...
Where are they from?
Just like...
So what do you think, Bryony? Truth or lie?
I'm thinking lie.
OK, Jason.
I mean, I want it to be true so bad, but it just can't be.
David, you're clearly going to go with your team.
On this occasion, I am.
They're saying it's a lie. Lee, truth or lie?
It was, in fact, a lie.
It's a lie. Lee didn't pretend to play the bagpipes.
Because I kept losing my bin shoes, I've now tied them to my hall radiator with a length of elastic. They comfortably stretch to the end of the drive before the tension beckons me back.
David's team.
When you put said bin shoes on your feet, you're still tied to the radiator?
Technically, but they're very elasticated, so it doesn't feel that way.
You said when you get to the end of the drive, the tension of the elastic beckons you back. Talk us through that procedure.
Well, I start walking, so it starts off... I've got a wheelie bin.
Yes, of course.
And I'm wheeling
Just one?
One wheelie bin, one recycling bin,
OK.
but we alternate each week.
OK.
I mean, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue. I obviously play the game of putting the wrong colour out, see if the neighbours will copy. Do you do that? If you do it first and then look, everyone copies you. It's fantastic. Sneak out at night, swap it back again. I'm a horrible man. So you get the bin, so I start walking like this. Are you all right?
Yeah, no, I'm just taking it all in. Go on.
OK.
So we've had a lot of female guests. You're the first one who's ever said that to her.
So I walk out and everything's fine, just walking. Oh, I'm feeling a bit of... oh, hello. Oh, it's much quicker coming back. And then I'm back over here.
Right, there we go.
Bit tired. Hang on.
Was that elastic tighter than you thought?
No, just the bin was heavier than I
thought. Why don't you just use string?
Because if you use string, when it comes back, it's everywhere. If you use elastic, it gathers up into a smaller space.
But after a while, it all goes baggy.
Well, that's just life, isn't
that's
it?
life.
What are you going to say, David?
What do you think, Sam?
I think it's a lie.
OK, Miles.
I think it's a lie. I mean, I'm sure you've got a pair of bin shoes, but I think this seems like a step too far.
I think we're going to
You're
say
saying it's a lie.
Yes,
OK,
yeah.
Lee, was it true or was it a lie?
It was, in fact, a lie. I've devised a simple mnemonic to help me remember everything I need to pack when going on holiday. I won't leave the house until I've ticked off everything on my flip-flop list.
David's too.
OK. I hate to do this, Lee, but could you take us through the mnemonic?
What is a mnemonic?
It's I can best describe it as new information that I received about 10 seconds ago. No. A mnemonic is basically flip-flop, so the first letter of the list of all the things I've got to remember.
Right.
So, for example, you probably want to know what the first one is, F.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't think of anything beginning with F now. Flip-flop. So flip-flop
So the
is
F of flip-flop you use,
F for flip-flop.
even though the system is the flip-flop system, so you're remembering the word flip-flop anyway, you then waste that first F, reminding you again to take... Is there not a risk you might take 2 pairs of flip-flop?
No.
You notice he's doing singular, so only packs 1 flip-flop.
They flip-flop.
So that's your first F, but there's another F coming up in a while.
Now you'll know why I said only 1 flip-flop. L. L stands for lipstick.
Why are you taking lipstick?
Because I once... my wife, who always forgets her lipstick, always says, "Oh, darn, I've forgotten my lipstick. My whole 2-week holiday is ruined. They never have the product I've got in this country." So I got so annoyed by this over the years. I thought, from now on, I'm going to take the lipstick so that when she gets there, she won't start kicking off and ruining the whole trip because her lips aren't red enough.
I
is for the passport.
I for passport?
Yeah, because it's got me in it, and I remember myself as I. Okay. I must remember...
No, this
it's
makes...
I! Who's that? That is I!
Makes perfect sense. It's I for ID.
No, I never went with that system. No. And now I think about it,
I won't help
it's
you.
crazy.
Lee, you know that in just one letter's time we've got a P, which would seem very well suited for passport.
It would.
So what's P?
My wife's passport.
All right, F.
F. Now, this is an interesting one. F is for francs, the currency. Now, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. But when I first developed this system, it was because we were going to the south of France and I wanted to remember my francs. And now that the flip-flop system is invented, I can't change it for an E of euro because it'll be flip-a-lop. So I always remember flip-flop. So that's francs. Francs are now euros.
To get your euros.
Or not necessarily euros, it could be dollars.
Foreign currency.
Foreign currency.
F. Foreign currency.
Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think? David, there are times when I wish I was married to you.
L.
L. I don't know if I told you about my wife's habit of wearing a different coloured lipstick on the top lip to the bottom lip. But, oh, yes. Yeah, no, it's an odd look. I'm not going to lie. It's an odd look. So it's another lipstick. Oh. Now, as everybody knows, when you go on holiday, there's one thing you've got to remember. And that is the suntan lotion. I go a weird shade of orange in the sun. And if I think of an orange, I always think of the suntan lotion.
Yeah.
Because orange body, suntan lotion.
I mean, I don't know what you're going to use the P for, because you've covered everything you'd need.
I take a spare passport for my wife, because we have the old passport. You know, you keep the old passport when you renew. I always take it.
Why?
Because
they cut through it.
Yeah, they cut through it. But we once, you know, when you just flash them occasionally, we once lost the passport and used the spare one and went like that, and it worked.
Flip-flop, it's FLIP. It's 8 letters, and you use 3 of them for passports.
Yes.
2 of them for lipstick.
Yeah.
And over half of it is passports and lipstick.
What do you think, Joe?
Not much.
Kiri, which way are you leaning?
I think it's a lie.
David, what's it going to be?
I think we'll go lie.
Right, well, feel the tension. Lee, were you telling the truth, or was that a lie?
It's a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Lee doesn't use the word flip-flop to help him pack.
En route to a meeting at the BBC, I gave CPR to an OAP.
How old?
Pardon?
How old?
I'm 48.
Why did she need mouth to mouth?
Well, it turns out she didn't, and... But, you know, how do I know how you fix a sprained ankle?
And how did you encounter the OAP?
The OAP was just outside the tube station where the BBC was, and soon will be again, I believe.
Which line?
What?
Which line did you get on?
I got the train to Waterloo, and then I got the tube.
Which colour?
Well, she started off sort of pink, then she went red. Then she went a bit yellow, and then I just got her back again.
What colour tube?
Funny enough, when I got back that day and my wife said, what's happened today? I think, wow, what a journey.
When did this happen? I believe that you've been on the London Underground.
Thank you, Dave. Well, should we leave it at that?
Not quite. Describe the scene.
I saw people in a circle looking down on the floor.
Right.
Someone said, is anyone a doctor? And I said, yeah, there's loads of people.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't suppose you can do CPR, can you? And I went, can I do CPR? And as it happens, I can do CPR.
So what does CPR involve?
Yeah.
Put my hand there, and I started doing this.
Yeah.
This.
What's your rhythm?
I did this.
That's too slow.
Yeah, that is slow.
It's meant to be
you want it
staying
real
alive.
Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted it in slow motion.
It's the music of staying alive.
You wanted it in the pink beat.
It's
Yeah, but my record player's broke. Staying alive. Will you speed that record player up, lad? I'll tell you what tragedy's the worst. Tragedy. Really upsetting.
So what happened?
We got a new record player.
How many of these did you do?
I think I did. Staying alive. That was a problem. I paused for the high-pitched note as you went blue again. Staying alive. Staying alive. This didn't help. So I'd say I probably got through the first verse.
OK, so you did the first verse of Staying Alive, then what happened?
And then she literally got up at the right moment of the verse. She went, Staying Alive! And then the ambulance came and took her off, and she went straight over a bridge and died.
So, what are you thinking? Stacey, does that have the ring of truth for you?
Awful ending to the story, I'm so sorry.
I'm very suspicious that he doesn't even know what tube he got on.
You really, that's the most doubtful part of the story.
What do you think, Susie?
Yes.
No, I think his rhythm was all wrong.
Whoa.
I've been told that before. No, I don't believe it.
Don't believe it?
No.
Then we think it's a lie.
You think he was making all of that up? Goodness me. Lee, truth or lie?
This is, in fact, a lie! I missed, ironically, after that.
Yes, it's a lie.
I once returned a T-shirt to a shop, furious that it had shrunk in the wash, only to discover, mid-complaint, it was, in fact, my 7-year-old son's.
David. So what did the T-shirt look like?
It was a small red T-shirt.
I'm guessing you had recently bought a adult-sized red T-shirt, and you had put that in the wash.
Correct.
But and presumably also your son's
My
identical
son's
red T-shirt, but purchased at a different time in a different place.
I got it from Gap, and he got it from Gap Kids. And I just grabbed it, put it on, thought, oh, it's shrunk. I had no reason to believe it was any... I didn't check the label. That was my T-shirt, as far as I was concerned.
So when you went back into Gap, what did you say?
I was in a queue for ages. Someone shouted next, and so I thought I'm in the wrong shop. And then I finally found out that it was Gap, so I got to the front of the queue, and I went to the counter and I said, I'm not happy.
Yes. What did they say?
They said, well, which one of the dwarfs are you?
I'm interested in you saying that you actually put on your son's T-shirt, which, lest we forget, you said earlier is something for a 7-year-old child.
Well, I didn't want to say it on national television. My son is clinically obese. Well, you forced my hand, so now I've got to say it, OK? So thank you for that. Thank you, David. No, he's not clinically obese.
I know this is probably not the right way to play this game, and this may seem a little bit like I'm helping the other team, but surely your T-shirt and your son's T-shirt would have shrunk at the same rate.
He didn't know his child's
Nothing
T-shirt was
shrunk.
in there.
Yeah. Nothing actually shrunk. Steve, are you following? Nothing shrunk. Nothing shrunk.
Nothing shrunk. I've got
it's
my
just his
child's
son's T-shirt.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
So there's no shrinkage. No shrinkage is involved.
OK.
You following this?
So why were you complaining?
So there you are at the front of the queue and you're talking to the assistant.
I handed it over. I said, I'd like to swap this. This T-shirt has shrunk. She looks at the label, which I haven't done. She looks at it and assumes that it is my child's T-shirt that has shrunk. And she said to me, are you sure it's shrunk? To which I said, yes, because I couldn't put it on. To which she said, well, yes, but could your child put it on? I said, I'm not giving it to my son just because it's shrunk. And she said, well, if you're sure it's shrunk, then OK, it's shrunk. She went off, she came back, she gave me another T-shirt, exactly the same size.
And what did you say?
I said, well, that has also clearly been in a high wash. She said, how big are these supposed to be, then? I said, well, they're supposed to fit me. She said, why are they supposed to fit you? I said, because I bought an adult T-shirt. She went, this is hilarious. I said, why? She goes, I don't even work here. I've gone to the wrong person, haven't I?
OK, it's time to guess, David. What do you think?
Well, we don't need to guess. It's a lie.
Put us out of our misery. Was it the truth or was it a lie?
It's a lie. I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me while I was bouncing on a trampoline and spotted her over the fence with another man.
What age did this traumatic event occur to you?
I was 18.
So what were they doing next door?
Well, you don't want to know that, do you? They were lying, believe it or not, on a trampoline.
You were trampolining in your garden.
Yes.
And you saw over the fence.
Yes.
Into your girlfriend's garden.
No, she didn't live next door.
Oh, right.
Neither lived next door.
Neither of them lived next door?
Correct.
Why were they next door, then?
Because there was a party going on next door, and it sort of slightly drifted into my house. It was like two sort of houses were taking part in the party. It sort of bled into mine.
What sort of trampoline was it, Lee?
It was the TS497, the only trampoline. I remember jumping up over the fence, seeing them kissing and thinking, is that the TX417? Where did he get that from? I wish we could afford one of them. Stop kissing her!
I think you know what I mean.
Yes.
Was it an oblong trampoline? Was it the modern one with the nets, the circle with the nets up the side?
Don't say that! Do you know her name was Annette? It was a trampoline with no net round the side.
Oblong or circular?
Well, she'd lost a bit of weight. I would say slim to oblong.
So, you couldn't see what was going on except at the top of your bounce trajectory, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what do you see for an instant at the top of that bounce? Are they already doing it?
They're not doing it.
Are they already kissing? Are they already writing poetry?
Have they taken their shoes off?
They haven't taken their shoes off.
Ooh!
You know what was worse, though? It was the only thing they were wearing.
How long had you been seeing her for?
We've been up and down over the years.
So go on, you're at the peak of your trajectory, affording you a wonderful bird's eye view of the neighbouring trampoline.
Correct.
What did you see?
I saw my then girlfriend.
Whose name was?
She was called Joanne.
So what happened?
I wanted to have a proper look. I went straight up to the climbing frame, and sure enough, my fears were confirmed.
Oh, my
It was the TX497.
You must have been furious.
Oh, I was so angry. I was so angry. So I came round, got on the trampoline, and I went, Joanne! And she looked round, there was no one there. And then I went to the top again, Joanne! She looked round, there was no one there. This carried on for a long time. Joanne! So then I timed it perfectly. I said Joanne when I was down. Joanne! But it took a while before I worked out that system.
So what do you think, David?
Is he telling the truth?
I don't think so, no.
Why? Can I be honest with you? I'm not convinced either.
Lee, bouncing on the trampoline and spying Joanne. Truth or lie?
It's a lie.
No!
Oh, possession.
Right. There should be a box under your desk. Would you first of all read the card out and then take the possession out and pop it on the desk?
This is the set of keys I carry around with me every day. I know what every single one is for, apart from one.
OK. The box back on the floor. Just take us through the set of keys, Lee, in your own time.
OK.
Please don't feel you have to rush.
It's not say in his own time. It's all of our time, really, isn't it? But, OK, carry on.
So now, I've got 3 keys that look very similar, so I have to put those little things on to give you the different colours. And these colours help me a lot, because that's for the blue door, that's for the green door, and that's for the yellow door. Yes. Now, I'll never forget, because the blue door is blue, the yellow door is yellow, and the green one is my next-door neighbour, Shakin' Stevens.
Yeah. And, what lies behind those doors?
So that's my front door key.
Yeah. And that's
which genuinely
blue.
is a blue door, my front door. OK? The green one genuinely is my next door neighbour's key, but it isn't Shakin' Stevens.
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot. It's Howard Jones. And the yellow one is the key for the door at the back of the house. Now, this one, that's the key for the front door, the bottom lock. What do you call that?
Bolt.
Yes, I wish I could. This unusual-looking key, that's for the money chest. Money chest. That's for a small tin that we keep some money in.
Right.
And some things that we don't want the kids to see.
Why don't you want the kids to see money? And what else don't you want the kids to see?
I don't mind them seeing the money. It's the other things I don't want them to see.
Like what?
The remains.
So, OK, that's where you keep your money and the remains of those who you've killed.
Yes. Then you've got PBU. That's that one there.
What does PBU stand for?
PBU on the keyring?
Yes.
It's the place for bins, you. It's a little...
Just like that!
Yeah.
He couldn't have made that up. It's true.
We've got one of those outside little shed things you're supposed to put the bins in to make it look tidy. And my wife constantly comes out and says, "There's a place for the bins, you!" And to help me remember, that's the key, I put PBU on the thing.
So you give yourself the job of remembering the night before the bin men are coming to go out, unlock these bins. Every time you go to put some rubbish away, you unlock the bin.
No.
None of this...
Because the shed that the bins are kept in doesn't have the lock. The gate leading to the shed that the bins are
What's going in these bins?
My wife creating things more of the bins than me. Then we've got this little baby here. Oh, this tells a story. This one is for the safe. But the safe, bizarrely, it was already in the house and it's behind a picture. How exciting. The key has never fitted. We never know what's in the safe.
Now, what is the picture in front of the safe?
The picture in front of the safe?
Yeah.
Oh, that picture.
You know the safe that doesn't exist? Well, there's a picture that doesn't exist in front of it.
This is the bit.
It's obviously a painting of your bins.
This is the bit. This is the bit you're going to find.
That must never be taken
This is
from
the
house.
bit you're going to find crazy. It's a picture of the safe. I know. No, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And this, David, is the key to your heart. It's not. That is to the side passage. And it's quite annoying. It's quite annoying to get through the side passage because I have to open the gated community to the bins, and that takes me through to the side passage, which I open. And that's all the keys apart from this one. Do you know what that one's for, Fiona? Nobody knows.
And how did you get that key?
That key. Just give it to... And this is the bit that's not funny, and I don't want any jokes. My great-grandfather fought in the First World War, and he had a key round his neck, and we don't know what the key was for, but it was passed on. He gave it to his father, his father gave it to his father.
He gave it to his father, so he passed it on backwards in time.
No, sorry. Well, I will say is, just in summary, I'm not pitching it to you because it is true, but if you don't believe it, quite simply, the story is simple. What is there not to believe? I come home, I make sure the side-gated community to the bins are unlocked so I can get the bins out, leave them on a Tuesday, I let them open the side passage, I get in, lock the side passage, come through to the house, open the safe by moving the pitch, but I can't open the safe, I always forget, I close the safe, I get the tin, open it up, move the eyeballs, get the money out, close the tin, open the thing, back inside, straight to the front door, which is blue, go out, feed Howard Jones's cat next door, who I accidentally said was Shaking Stevens. What part of that are you telling me?
So what are you going to say, David? What does your team think?
I think we're going to say it's a lie.
Saying it's a lie. Lee! Was it the truth or was it a lie?
It was a lie.
Lee?
I can smell if there is a dead fly in the room. Can I just say, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I can smell a dead fly in the room.
So, it's what you're saying, that if there isn't a dead fly in the room, you have no sense of smell?
No, that's not what I'm saying. And you know damn well that's not what I'm saying, David. No, I can smell if there is a dead fly in the room. I can smell the dead fly.
So is there a dead fly in here?
Hold on. No, I can't smell a dead fly in this room, obviously. This is what we call a normal-sized room.
Let's see.
Okay, well, a room in my house.
How do you prove this? Do you actually sniff it out? Can you actually, like a sniffer dog, you actually find the dead fly with your nose? Or you just go...
No. I never told you I could find them.
You can't locate it, you just know it's somewhere within the walls.
Well, not within the wall.
I'm not talking about flies that might have been killed by a serial killer and then sort of plastered in.
Yeah. I can't smell them. I can't smell them. No, definitely not.
Right, OK.
But you can't locate them, you just know there's somewhere in the room.
I can smell if there's a dead fly in the room.
So where...
How can you put it to the test? Because you might have been in a room in which there was a dead fly and you have not smelt it and said there is no dead fly in this room. And people have believed you, and yet lurking in the corner...
It's a good question, Joan. It's a very good question, and I wish that I had a good answer. Just by the law of averages, there's been too many times when I've gone in a room and gone, there's a dead fly in this room, and quite often we will see the dead fly.
What do you mean quite often? It has to be always. It has to be always.
I can smell if there's a dead fly in the room, so I will go in and go, I think there's a dead fly in the room. That's just a polite way of talking, David. I don't go, there is a dead fly in the room! It's a fact every time!
This room
I talk more softly than you, David. I have a softer... I don't show off about my talents. Okay. I walk in a room and I go, I think there's a dead fly in this room. In fact, no, I think you'll find there is definitely. There always is. There always is.
What does the dead fly smell of?
It's a smell that I wouldn't want to describe to a friend.
Try. Imagine you're a wine connoisseur.
Right.
But it's the smell of a dead fly.
I'm getting...
what are you getting?
I'm getting a bit of wing. I'm getting another wing. And how many wings of flies? Was it 2 or 4? 4. Another wing. And no, wait. There's only 3 wings. I think I know how this fly died.
You've not really described the smell there. You've described the body parts of a fly while making sniffing noises.
Well, I can't. You know, I'm a professional. You're an amateur. I'm trying to say it in layman's terms.
Well, earlier on, I was. I came to see you in your dressing room to say hello, and I had a little look in the window, and only now I'm thinking there was a dead fly in there, and you never mentioned it.
Before you came, and I went, smell of fly. But I found that smell was soon overpowered, Jason.
David, time to make your mind up. Is he telling the truth? Is that whole fly-smelling thing real?
Well, let us pay him the respect of pretending to consider it. You don't believe him when he says...
I do not believe him.
Well, I think lie.
You think lie, you're saying lie. OK. Lee, were you telling the truth, or was that a lie?
I've actually started believing it myself. It's a lie. When I was 7, I had to be a bridesmaid at my auntie's wedding. When I was 7, I had to be a bridesmaid at my auntie's wedding, as one of the girls who was supposed to do it was ill, and the dress was a perfect fit.
What did the dress look like?
I describe the colour as traumatic.
Why do they have to have a bridesmaid? Why couldn't they just say, if she's not well, let's move on?
I think you're mixing it with admin. If someone says to me, put the dress on, I'd put it on. You know that, don't you? Do as I'm told.
So you didn't display any reluctance to put the dress on?
I may have said, you know, mother, father, I am a 7-year-old boy, despite the fact that I am 2 years younger looking and slightly androgynous. But please, give me some dignity. And my father turned around to me, he said, son, when I was your age, he had a pipe, when I was your age, my father asked me to put a dress on, and I put it on, and his father before him, and his father before him. You'll put the dress on, and you'll smile.
Was there a page boy as well as bridesmaids at this wedding? I was a page boy once, and if another boy had dressed up as a girl, I would have felt it was fair game to persecute him.
Well, true, but luckily the page boy came up to me, little Sharon, and he said, he said, tell me about it. You know, you think you've had a rough day. You know what I mean? I'm a 24-year-old.
How much notice did you get?
Pardon?
How much notice did you get?
Quite a few people. I think, you know, from memory, quite a few people were,
No, you
idiot.
How much warning? How far in advance?
I genuinely thought you meant notice. How much notice did you get? That was a genuine one.
Yeah.
Oh, how much notice did I get?
Oh, everyone thought I was adorable.
I've got to admit...
Oh, everyone was looking. I was nervous at first, but then I felt like a princess.
Oh, I see. How much in advance did they tell me?
Yeah, how much notice?
How much notice did I get? You know what? That would be embarrassing if this was on television, wouldn't it? I think I got, like, I don't know, 5 hours or something. She was ill at the last minute and...
I just think you would have absolutely refused at that age.
Listen, I said, Dad, I don't want to do it. And he went, listen, I'm not your dad, I'm your mother. and I'm sick of you constantly calling me Dad. The other one, that's your dad.
How long did you have to keep the dress on? At what point in the proceedings? I mean, did you have to wear it right through to the disco and, you know...
My dad said you'll keep it on till the music starts. Da 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 da. Because unfortunately the cabaret act had cancelled because of illness.
So what are you thinking, David? Does that sound at all plausible to you?
What do you think, Izzy?
I really want it to be true.
Well, then say true.
I actually think it could genuinely be the biggest load of drivel I've ever heard. It can't be true.
I don't think it's true.
Oh. Lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lie.
Conclusively, it's a lie. Lee, truth or lie?
It's a lie. When I'm at home, I amuse myself by shaving only half my face and doing that thing where you have a conversation between two people.
What are the characters of the shaved Lee, unshaven Lee?
I'll often do a sailor because that suits the look of the longer beard.
Could we have a little bit of sailor?
Looks like you shaved half your beard off again.
Hang on, that doesn't make sense because it doesn't. It looks like he's got the complete beard.
No. He has got the beard and he's talking to the man.
To the other person, yes.
Looks like you shaved off your beard off again.
Yeah, but the other person looks like
The little boy looks up and goes, I couldn't help it, I had to, because I was feeling a bit hairy.
Yeah. But that doesn't make any sense because the other one looks like he's completely shaved his beard.
No, sorry. I've shaved half the beard.
Yes, I know.
The one with the beard is the sailor with the beard.
Looks like you've shaved off your...
Meaning him.
half your beard off.
The other
to the other one.
Yeah.
Who's then sort of going, yes, I did. Yes, I did shave half it off. But it doesn't look like they've shaved half it off. It just looks...
They've shaved it all off.
They've shaved it all off.
I have you say that. No, you're wrong. No.
I've shaved it all
You're wrong, David. Wrong. Now, I'll do it again. Right. Man with half a beard.
Yeah.
You looks like you shaved...
No,
Wait,
the character you're playing is a man with a
Let me finish.
Okay.
Looks like you shaved half your beard off again.
Okay.
Yes, I had to, but you should see the other side. Look, it's still there. And then the other fellow goes, I'm just as bad as you. Look, clean shaven. You want me to let the story finish? You know I'm using it well.
Why did you say half in the first remark?
He
Did you say it looks like you shaved your beard off again? Should be shave your whole beard off again? And he's going, yes, I know, but then let me show you more fully. Like you did.
I didn't say it like a red boy.
Coincidence, because I too am a cock.
You know what? The kids just laugh and clap.
Right, David, time for a decision.
Well, I think we think it's a lie, don't we?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, definitely a lie.
Saying it's a lie. OK.
Yeah.
Lee, is it the truth or were you telling a lie?
It is, in fact, true.
Yes, it's true. Lee does amuse himself by shaving only half of his face and pretending to have a conversation between two people.
I once lost a game of swing ball to a chimpanzee.
David's team.
OK.
Why were you with the chimpanzee?
I was visiting a zoo in South Africa, and the trick that the chimpanzee could do was play swing ball. And we all took it in turns to have a go, and I'd had a few to drink, and he beat me.
What time of day was this?
Time of day?
Yes,
Before the monkey's bedtime.
Are you refusing to answer?
I'm not refusing, but I'm thinking about it for a while, because I don't know if you mean South African time or English time. It's very similar, but I think there's an hour's difference. Do you mean the South African time?
I mean the South African local time.
The local time. I believe... sorry, you've thrown me a bit, because most times I tell people
Local time at the zoo on the occasion of your match.
I've been
against the
using this... I
chimpanzee.
can't lie, over the years, I've been using this anecdote at the darts and things. Oh, did I ever tell you, lads, about the time I played swing ball with a chimpanzee? No one's ever said, what time of day was this? He threw me for a second. Most people go, chimpanzee swing ball? Tell us more, you interesting person.
I suppose what's different is that when you tell that as an anecdote in the pub, people go, it's polite to go along with the bullshit that Lee talks.
Why were you in South Africa?
Don't tell me what the...
Joe,
the time of day.
The time of day.
Make up a time of day.
I couldn't beat a chimpanzee at swim ball because I was drunk. How am I going to remember the time of day? I'm terrible at this, and this at only quarter to three.
What I'm trying to get at is why were you going round a zoo pissed? It's not a usual post-pub trip. Let's have a few jars. I'll tell you what, I fancy a trip round the zoo. Around about 1 in the morning, they get the chimp out, and the chimp takes people on a swing ball. The chimp likes nothing more than a load of pissed contestants.
Yeah, well, we don't all go to the British Museum for stag weekends.
But zoos aren't open after the pub.
No, we went. It was afternoon. You know, we've been drinking since the morning.
You had a boozy lunch.
We'd had a boozy morning. We started at 11. Arrest me.
Right.
Why didn't you go and see, like, some strippers? Wouldn't a load of men go,
we were that drunk, we thought we were.
We thought that was a pole. Monkeys.
We thought, this is the rubbish pole dancing club. That little pole dance, she hasn't got any tits, she hasn't shaved for ages. It was awful. I'm not going to lie. We were about to walk out. But then someone said, no, it's a swing ball playing chimpanzee. I think you're better than we thought. I wonder why she wasn't letting me put 10 quid in her bra.
David, before someone phones the RSPCA...
It was a consenting chimpanzee. It wasn't
I don't think he'd said, look, you know, I quite like it here at the zoo, but really what would make it peachy is if I could take on some of the visitors, ideally at swing ball, badminton at a push. I don't think that happened.
Well, he had no choice.
He had no choice. That's my point. Right. Is it the truth or is it a lie?
I thought it was a lie. Right. But it seems the sort of thing he'd do.
I think it's a lie, but I'm happy to be...
Yeah, I'll go with lie.
We'll go with lie.
We all say it's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Lee, truth or lie?
It is, in fact, a lie.
Yes, it is a lie. Lee has never lost a game of swing ball to a chimpanzee. For the record, it was Scrabble.
I once picked up a hitchhiker and scared him so much he cried.
David, do you believe him? Where were you driving?
I was going from, I think it was from round Norwich area, somewhere there.
Round Norwich to...
I presume somewhere between Norwich and Yarmouth.
How did you scare him?
What happened was we were driving along. He got in the car and he said... first thing
you
he
were
said...
driving along and he got in the car. Well, that's already dangerous. He's sort of running to keep up.
Yeah. It was an ice cream van. I sort of grabbed him by the hair and pulled him in.
Yeah.
That's how I used to get them. And my car used to have problems because it was a problem car. And I pulled over, right? I pulled over and I went round the back because I used to have to hit the engine to get it going again. And it all went wrong and we pulled over. So I said, I'm just getting in the back because I need to get a hammer to give it a whack. And as I went back, I said, I thought it'd be funny to say, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. So I went round the back of the van and got a hammer out, went back to the front, and as I was walking past to the front of the car where the engine lives, I looked in like that, and I just saw him go like that, and he just wiped a small tear from his eye, because I think he genuinely thought, I'm going to kill him, and he was a bit worried.
Maybe he cried. That's a very odd response to immediate mortal danger. to just slightly well up. That's more of I call that a more end of the It's a Wonderful Life reaction. Oh dear, I am to die, it appears. Rather than, get out of the car, run! But just notice a slight welling up. Ah, well, all things come to an end.
David, what do you reckon, then?
I think the stuff about having a dodgy car that he has to hit in a certain way with a hammer to get it going, I think that side of it...
Well, let's just leave it at that, then.
That's the bit of it that doesn't ring true to me.
Flannel. Larry, what do you say? I mean, you've got a good flannel detector. Would you?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's flannel.
I think it might be slightly true, but I'm going to go... I'm not convinced it's true, so I'm going to go with the team, and we'll say it's a lie.
Not going to rock the boat. No. OK. Lee Mack.
I say that it is indeed the truth.
As a child, I was scared of the sun.
What age?
I think this would probably be when I was 4, 5, 6, 7... that sort of age. When I was 4,567. I was still in my infancy as a god.
What was it about the sun that you found frightening?
It was looking at it.
Oh, yeah. Did you just go out at night or something? You never went out during the day?
No, I did go out during the day, but I would sort of obsessively keep my eyes towards the ground.
Right.
The problem was that someone used the phrase, if you look at the sun, you will go blind.
Funny enough, exactly the same advice for me as well, but it was page 3 of the Sun. So you would still go out, but you would avoid any way glancing at it.
Yeah, and then, occasionally you sort of turn your head and the sun goes through your vision, and it can create that slight, when you blink, you can still see.
And you thought that was burning.
And I thought, right, well, what's that? Is that the beginning of the great eternal darkness?
Yeah. You really had a happy childhood, didn't you, then? We were all then on our rally grifters, and you were thinking about the eternal darkness.
Did anything else scare you as a child?
Oh, yes, most things.
What else scared you?
Well, the trouble is that some children are timorous and some children are reckless.
Yeah, and Sagittarius.
And in order to save the lives of reckless children, warnings are calibrated for their safety, which The result of which is that the timorous live in a state of perpetual terror. Yeah, what I needed to be told is, you know what, most days you won't die, it's fine. I wasn't ever going to tear across a 3-lane motorway.
Right.
You know, the very existence of a 3-lane motorway in the same postcode as me made me not want to leave the house.
And presumably you would wait for about 3 weeks before swimming after a meal.
No, and having an ice cream in the afternoon and then thinking, right, well, I should probably not swim for the rest of the holiday. And then someone says, when I was an adult, you don't have to wait at all. It's all a myth. You can swim and eat.
Did you? While looking into the sun.
So what are we thinking?
Adam? I'm thinking true fact.
I'm going truth.
So you're saying it's the truth?
Yeah.
Go on, we'll say it's true.
You're going to say that it's true. OK. David, truth or lie?
It is true.
Yes, it's true. As a child, David was scared of the sun. Next.
When I was a child, the only thing that would get me to sleep was my parents reading me the takeaway menu from our local Chinese restaurant, the Flying Chopstick.
David's team.
At what age was this?
I'd say it kicked off at 7 and probably lasted about a year.
Was it read out in any type of accent?
No. Well, my dad...
When you say any type, there's one specific one.
If they read it in a French accent, it'd be nice. It's quite surreal, isn't it? But I'll go with it.
My dad is half Polish, half Lithuanian, so it had a sort of Eastern European tinge.
Could you give us a kind of a little rendition?
So it would be something along the lines of...
This will be interesting.
It'll be something
We'll just separate ourselves from the person doing the routine.
You don't want to be in the clip when it comes on the news, do you?
So Dad would say, for example, black bean with chop suey, something like that. Black bean.
Was your dad the fella from Sesame Street? One pork balls. 2 lovely pork balls.
You know, like lychee for the end of the menu.
Lychee, that's the
Yeah,
way
I know that.
Lychees.
The flying chopstick, they just serve a single lychee, don't they?
Lychees. It was the staple. It was the 70s. Things were a little bit sparse then. It was Wilson's, you know, things are hard. I can't remember his speech, but you know the one I mean. Things are terrible.
Wilson's things are hard.
Wilson's things are...
Harold Wilson, things are hard.
We've only got lychees. Things are hard. We've only got lychees, guys.
How far into the menu would you drift off?
That's a very good question.
That's why I asked it.
Yeah. My eye would be sort of fully open, like that. A little bit like...
Just one eye open.
One eye open, always looking, always just checking. And then I would say, by the end of the first page, the eye would be down.
So you used to go to sleep
page.
half a face at a time?
Can you remember the first time that this happened?
It would have been... I think it was on a Friday night. Mum and Dad would have been entertaining, and I laughed a lot and then fell asleep.
So what do you think, then? David Hay, how is this striking you?
The detail, the fact that she knew straight away what day it was on a Friday night. I don't remember what day it was when you were 7.
Oh, I
can't
did.
remember last week. I get punched in the head for a living, but...
But David, they did it a lot. They did it a lot.
Repetition, eh?
Repetition. So I knew the menu back to front because they had to do it so often.
Well, that's just Chinese. It would be that way, no, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Romesh, what are you thinking?
I think it... I don't buy it.
David, actually, I've got 2 Davids. We'll call you the haymaker and the librarian. What are you thinking, David?
Well, I think I don't believe it.
Do you realise... I like the system you've got there. We're going to call you the haymaker and the librarian. So what do you think, David?
I don't think... She's... At the age of 7, I think a 7-year-old child will require a coherent story.
All right, so you're saying it's a lie. Well, let's find out. Mel, truth or lie?
The story was, in fact, a lie!
As a child, my Christmas was once cut short when my mum took the decorations down halfway through Christmas Day.
David's team.
Oh, right, this...
Thank you.
Was she always down on Christmas, or was... What happened this year?
Well, this year in particular,
Yeah.
just halfway through Christmas Day, she's like, I've had enough. We've done the presents.
Had you done the lunch?
Yeah, we've done lunch. So let's just...
What was the time?
2:30.
OK, so pre-Queen.
Oh, we don't do the Queen in my family.
I'm so sorry, David.
You don't listen to the Queen?
No.
Did it become...
I mean, she's the head of state. 8 minutes a year,
Yeah.
you know, and 6.5 if you skip the bit with the trumpets.
Was it a great dramatic gesture, or was it sort of...
It was quite dramatic because
And did she, I mean, were the things were on the ceiling?
And it's taking the tree down and putting a plastic tree back into a box.
The stuff on the ceiling, did she have to get
We
a
didn't have
ladder?
stuff on the ceiling.
Well, you had no
Well,
tinsel like round the room.
No.
Oh, this was hardly a Christmas, wasn't it? You don't watch the Queen's speech. I expect you were having a pizza. You're having a pizza and she put the fake tree away like an umbrella. Fine, pop that away. This is barely worth hearing about.
Was there a specific incident that set her off?
She was very disappointed with me and my sisters because...
In general.
It's been a tough year. I think I had got one present and I had not liked it. And so that was a bad point. And my sister Cheryl hadn't got out of bed yet.
Now, tell us about your Christmas Day. I'm imagining there's a lot more structure to it. And respect is a word that's coming to my mind.
Thanks, Rob. Oh, I don't know. I think I have quite a normal Christmas Day.
I imagine Bucks Fizz at 11.
No, we don't book a band.
So, David, what is your team thinking? Could this be true?
Yes,
it's
well,
heartbreaking.
Completely rings true, I think. What do you think, Tom?
Well, whatever I think would be wrong, so...
Well, that could be... If that's 100%, that's very useful.
I'd ask her.
What do you think, then?
Well, I'd go with Tom, really.
I've had an insight.
Tom's had an insight,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I think she's not telling the truth.
Oh, what? Why do you think that?
I don't know. It just came over me.
Right.
I think she's telling the truth. But it's quite easy to know who to side with here. I literally sit at home all day watching Homes Under the Hammer, and you're next to a Knight of the Realm.
Yeah, but I'd go with him if I were you.
True.
True, you're saying it's true. Sarah, a tragic tale.
A tragic
Fact
tale.
or fiction?
This tale was true.
I told you,
Now, as a child, my mum got so fed up with me wandering off, she made me wear a bell around my neck whenever we went shopping.
Please, team.
Was she a cow?
I'm not sure that Miles's mother being a cow would explain it, because I don't think it's the cow's own policy to wear the bells.
So, first of all, how bad were you at wandering off? Was this a regular thing?
I wouldn't stay still. Any sort of open space I would see as a thing to run towards rather than...
So
you know,
what shopping centres were you going to that were such wide spaces to run in?
I suppose Brent Cross Shopping Centre would have been our regular haunt. But I don't know.
OK.
What age was this?
I would have been about probably 4 till the age of 7.
And when you were in infant school, every time you went out to the playground, did everyone think it was playtime over and straight back in again?
It was only done on family outings.
Only done on shopping days.
Shopping
OK.
days.
And is it a traditional bell with the little thing inside that clanks
what does it
against
look
the...
like?
Like a sort of cat's bell, essentially.
But hang on, there's one massive problem here. A cat is on all fours and the bell dangles. The bell is going to be touching your body and it won't dangle. Discuss.
Well, she attached it to a part of me that dangled.
What was the furthest you ever got? What were you searching for?
I hope it wasn't sparrows, because you'd never get them.
So in Brent Cross terms, I once got from John Lewis to Phoenix.
Nice, very nice. Miles, could I ask you to tell me how big the bell was, but accurately?
I suppose 3/4 of the size of a ping-pong ball.
Hang on.
And was it a sphere or bell-shaped?
Any bell, by definition, is bell-shaped.
What do you think, Sarah?
It sounds a bit draconian. You know, a bell round your child's neck.
Yeah, I think it would be a terrible failing of parenting, so not for me.
It's just not a system that works. If
No.
you've drifted into a Morris dance area, then you're going to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
That's what you'd have in the horror film version of your life, where you run off and then your mother's desperately looking for you, and then suddenly she sees a load of Morris dancers and it totally confuses
Lots
the
of
system.
close-ups
It'd be
of grinning Morris
horrifying
dancers.
moment. Oh, the Morris dancers, the Morris dancers. I can't hear Miles' little tinkling bell.
Well, you could be describing any Saturday of my childhood.
So what are you going to say, Lee?
We're not having it.
They're not having
We're
it.
not having
They're
this.
saying it's a lie. Miles, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
That was a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Miles' mum didn't make him wear a bell around his neck.
As a child, I once secretly cashed my mum's family allowance and used the money to buy a cat.
David's team.
So, how did you perpetrate this fraud?
A lot of strong allegations straight away. It's not a fraud.
Is it not a fraud?
I didn't say I was my mum.
Right.
My mum, single mother at work, so quite often couldn't get to the post office during opening hours, so my job was to get the family allowance. I'm the eldest.
And how old were you?
11.
I see. So you were permitted to collect the money.
Yes,
What
yes.
you weren't then authorised to do by your mother is to spend it on a cat.
Not explicitly.
So it's not fraud, it's theft.
So what happened then, Sarah? Talk us through it.
So I went to the post office.
Yes.
Got the family allowance.
Yes.
Quite near the post office, there was lots of different shops. A high street, if you will. Oddly, on the way to go to the post office, I had popped into the pet shop and there were 2 little kittens and they were kind of all snuggled and sleepy. Oh, very sweet, very sweet. So I went to the post office, got the money, it was about £30, and then on the way back, one of the cats had been sold and the other one was there, very lonely.
Is this the story you told your mum, or is this the truth?
Well, this is... We don't find that out till the end of the round.
I'm getting old, I keep forgetting the format.
He was meowing, he was sad, and I realised that I now was holding enough money to buy him, and so I did.
How did you tell your mum?
I told my mum that I'd gone to the post office as instructed, picked up the family allowance. But then when I had been walking home, it had been very windy, the money had flown away. When I was looking for the money in the grass, I found this kitten.
Did she fall for that?
No.
Oh. I was going to say, if she did, can we get her on that team?
So what happened? Were you allowed to keep the cat?
Well, for a very, very short amount of time, the cat was in our house, but my mum was looking for somewhere else, to give him away to a home where he would be properly cared for, and then she told me that he had blown away.
You were only 11 and she went, oh, where's the cat? He blew away.
11 is not too young to learn the bitter lesson of how miserable life is.
Can I just say this has completely ruined my card in a minute, where I will be reading out that I, in the 1990s, bought a cat off a woman in a pub for 15 quid.
What are you thinking, Nicola? Does this story strike you as true?
I think there's a lot of detail in it.
A lot of detail, yes.
Yeah. I can picture the high street, the pet shop, the post office.
Yes, you've got a wonderful imagination, haven't you? You're very gifted in that way, aren't you?
Well, I mean, we're talking about cats here.
Yeah, there are no cats.
No, and yet we vaguely know what we're banging on about.
You brought cats to life as vividly as Andrew Lloyd Webber did all those years ago.
I never saw the live show, I just saw the clip from the film.
I auditioned for that film and didn't get it. And you know who played the part I went up for?
Who?
Judi Dench.
How dare you!
Ray Winston. Ray Winston got the part. Dan, what are you thinking?
I feel like I want to believe Sarah on this one. I feel there's an element of truth there.
Well, I think the situation is we just completely believe this. Now, if it's a lie, there's something diabolical that Sarah has done, because we've just totally accepted it.
And can I just say, I'm enjoying the length of your shirt sleeves tonight.
Oh, they're getting longer and longer.
You look like Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen. Sarah, they're saying it's true. Was it true, or were you telling a lie? Yes, it's true. Sarah really did use her mum's family allowance to buy a cat.
As a child, because I was so shy, I named all the toes on my left foot and formed a gang with them.
Please do.
Whew. OK. Well, would you like to tell us the names of the gang, starting with the big toe and going down the row?
Big toe was Daddy Bruiser.
Daddy Bruiser?
Yeah. The one next to it was Long Pete. Because that toe's unusually long on me.
Just before you say any more, just remember, there will be a recap.
Right, yeah,
sure. Keep these names short and rhyming.
OK. And then there was Lindsay.
Lindsay?
The one in the middle.
You've taken my advice, then.
And then the one, my ring toe I named after my Auntie Barbara.
What was that one called?
That was called Auntie Barbara.
Oh, not just Barbara, Auntie Barbara.
Auntie Barbara.
Auntie
Barbara.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the one at the end was called Crushed Daisy, because I used to have a lot of accidents and I used to sort of wang my foot into, you know, like skirting boards or whatever it would be.
Why Auntie Barbara rather than any other auntie?
She's my only auntie.
That's absolutely watertight.
Yeah.
Is she? That's an unusual thing to say about someone's auntie. Your auntie looks very watertight.
So would you talk to your toes?
I would talk to them at night. It was night time when I'd get particularly nervous.
Let's go back to young Mike in his bedroom, alone at night, with his gang. Just recreate for us a little interaction with the toe gang.
It's not going to be untoward, is it? Your parents aren't at the door hearing you say, "Come on, let me give you a little stroke, Auntie Barbara."
At the end of the bed is a wardrobe where the wood carving is quite sort of ghoulish, quite sort of Munchkin scream thing, which I think was part of the problem. And I'd say, I'd tuck the toes in. Don't look at that guy. He can't hurt you. He's made of wood. And then we'd get under the duvet with a little torch, and I'd light them up one by one. I would occasionally sort of draw little hats on them and faces and stuff.
Did you not think to ask your parents to just move the cupboard that was scaring you?
I did repeatedly.
And they just didn't?
They refused.
Because
they refused to toe the line. For that, round of applause.
What I want to know is whether some people groaned and clapped. If so, what was going through their mind?
All right, Leisha, what are you thinking?
I don't think it's the truth. Because I feel like, why would you only focus on one foot if you've got another 5 on this side?
Alan, what do you think?
It is so bizarre, it has to be true. I mean,
it?
I feel terribly sorry for you, really. I think it's...
What are you going to say?
I'm going to say it's a lie.
It's a lie. OK. Mike, truth or lie?
I was, in fact, telling a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Mike did not name his toes. Lady...
As a child, my parents would only let me watch ITV if I put a blanket over my head when the adverts came on.
David's team.
Interesting. What was the reasoning?
First of all, I wanted to buy the things that were on the adverts, and I would pester them if it was food, if it was fizzy drinks, if it was toys, whatever was advertised.
In those days, cigarettes, alcohol. What age would you have been then when this was happening?
Well, I'd been about sort of 8 or 9.
And was it just you? I mean, were there siblings?
Yeah, I've got 2 brothers, and
So they'd have blankets on their heads as well?
We would share, like a duvet cover.
We're tough up north, we had to share one blanket between 3 of us. When my mum used to cover our heads so we wouldn't buy out.
Who would be administering the blanket?
My mum or my dad would be, you know, the babysitter, they were told. That was
babysitter?
Yeah. There was one night I remember particularly, our cleaner was our babysitter, Mrs. Williams, she was quite elderly. She was told by my mum to, if we press number 3 on the remote control, she'd cover our eyes. She didn't get it, so she came and she held the blanket in front of the television, and this became a revolutionary new way of not watching the television.
So you had a remote control?
It was one of those on a wire. And the worst thing, we used to record programmes on a VCR, and we had to fast forward through all the adverts when we were watching.
With the blanket or without the blanket?
This was post-blanket times.
Bez, what do you think?
Well, it's that outrageous. It's got to be true.
What do you think, Motsi?
I've been watching your mom the whole time, and she seems just as surprised as us. I'm gonna say it's not true.
Steve's mum is in the front row of the audience.
Yeah. She's not my real mum.
All right, David, what are you going to say?
Do you think it's a lie?
I just think it's a lie.
Yeah, and you think it's true?
I think it's
This is what I
true.
call a nightmare scenario. I suddenly think, of course, it's absurd. Putting a blanket over a child's head. No, it's a lie.
OK, you're saying it's a lie. Steve, was it the truth or was it, in fact, a lie?
Well, guys, it was a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Steve's parents didn't make him put a blanket over his head when the adverts came on.
OK. As a child, I struck up a friendship with the 9 men who lived in my garden.
Please, Tim.
Who were the 9 men that lived in your garden?
So they were gardeners. Which sounds weird, but in Zimbabwe, for your gardeners to live in your garden, it's not a big deal because there's so much space for them.
So how big was this garden?
It was huge.
I mean, in acreage.
What, 40 acres?
40
Is that
acres?
a lot?
Is it a lot?
At the time, I was a child, so I was interested in things like Pokemon, not acreage.
I was interested in acreage.
If they lived there, at what point do they become not gardeners but tenants?
So they provided services, right? So gardening. They were singing gardeners.
They were what?
They discovered they had a talent for harmonising.
Right.
So they would sing whilst gardening.
What were their names?
Yes.
OK, listen.
And if you say dopey and sneezy, etc., you're going to run out.
OK, one of them was called Clever. One of them was called Blessing. I can't remember the others. But what I do remember is my dad, I'm his only son, so I'm his pride and joy, OK?
Right.
This man would do anything.
You're his only son.
OK. I knew that he would rely on me to give him the word on the ground as to which gardeners should we get rid of. It's a lot of people to pay.
Ah. So he basically only wanted a couple, but he thought start with 9, get it down to 2, and they're the full-time gardeners. How old are you at this time?
It's like maybe 8, 9.
So did you whittle it down to 2 gardeners for your dad?
Eventually whittled it down to 1.
To 1?
Because one day I had a catapult and one of the gardeners was reading the Bible. I took a fruit. It was like a cherry, but orange.
Oh, an orange?
No, it was... It was as small as a cherry.
Oh,
so
right.
I take this
Tangerine.
cherry. Let me land.
A kumquat.
A kumquat. So, shot the kumquat, and it hit him at the back of the head. And he then went to my dad and said, look, this is what your son has done to me. So eventually we ended up with 1, and his name was Blessing. So it turns out to be the complete right
Do
name
anything
for
to him. Hit him with a rounder's bat. Didn't mind.
Yeah.
And you said they sung, they could harmonise.
Until 8 of them got fired, and then it was Blessing singing on his own. Covered in bruises.
What are you thinking, Alice?
I don't believe it. That seems like a very, very ornate tissue of lies to me.
What about you, Bob?
You wielded a lot of power as an 8-year-old.
He did, didn't he?
Weapons testing on your staff and...
I mean, he doesn't come out of it well, does he?
But I changed. I'm a changed man.
Right, what's it going to be?
I say true.
We'll say it's true.
You're going to say that it's true. OK, Munya, was it true or was it a lie?
Well, it was indeed true.
Yes, it's true.
As a child, I had a pet brick.
Wait, as a child, I had a pet brick.
Oh, you as well?
You can't have a pet brick.
I know it's true because it's on his Wikipedia page.
What was the name of your pet brick? What was the name?
Johnny.
Johnny.
But you're from Glasgow, aren't you?
Yep.
It's sandstone in Glasgow.
I think they've got plenty of bricks in Glasgow.
Yeah. Did you get it from your own house?
No, my dad gave it to me.
Oh. That must have been a rather bare Christmas.
Why did he give you a brick?
He gave me a whole load of different stuff to build a wee wall. I kept the brick.
He gave you a build-your-own-wall kit.
And how old were you when this was happening?
I was about 7.
So you took one of these bricks away and tell us how you came to adopt it as a pet.
I had it as a pet on a string for a bit. What? And it was like a dog. We couldn't
Where
get a
on
dog.
earth would you take a brick?
Well, just round about our bit.
Oh, dear. I hope you didn't throw a ball into the river for him. When you had it on a lead, you mean outside or around the house?
Well, on a string.
What, in the street?
Yeah.
No.
What? I'm a 7-year-old kid. It was charming.
But did it look
That's
like...
an important thing to remember. You're talking about as if he's doing it now. He was 7. Did you decorate it? Did you make it look like an animal or a human?
He had a lot of human qualities.
And the most obvious being?
Like, we would talk.
Well, you say we. Was he more of a listener?
So you had it attached to a string. How do you do that?
You tie a knot. Sometimes we would play a game with it where you could swing it round and people had to jump so it didn't hit them in the legs. So it must have been fairly secure.
It's like extreme skipping.
Yes.
That, isn't it?
Did it ever break anyone's ankles or anything?
No, it hit a few knees.
Oh, was it not put down?
What are you thinking, Lucy, specifically about what Frankie has said?
Yeah, not everything.
My instinct is not to believe it, but it's very unusual, isn't it?
What do you think, Mo?
I think it might be true. Have you got any brothers or sisters?
Yeah.
Are you the youngest or the oldest?
No, I was in the middle.
Ah, he definitely had a pet brick. The middle one.
That says it all.
He had a pet brick.
All right,
the middle children are crazy, man.
Let's make a decision.
What
Lucy?
are they?
Have you just spotted them?
What bird are they?
I don't know, a pair of tits.
Don't know. What do you think?
I'm going to say crane or heron.
I think it's false.
You think it's not? You think it's false? You think it's true?
I think it's true.
And I
Don't go with me, though.
I wasn't going to. I'll go with Mo because he's more certain.
You can say it's true. Right, Frankie, a 7-year-old Frankie Boyle with a brick for a pet. Truth or lie?
That is a lie.
Yes, it was a lie. Frankie didn't have a pet brick.
As a child, I had so many imaginary friends, we formed an imaginary gang.
Did the gang have a name?
Yes, the gang were called the Guy-Buys.
The what? The Guy-Buys?
They were called the Guy-Buys.
How are you spelling that?
I never had cause to spell it. I'm talking about, you know...
If you had to spell it now, how would you spell it?
G-Y hyphen... by B-I-E-S.
How many were in the gang?
There was quite a few. There were 12.
The same number as apostles.
Well, it does occur to me that this was a harmless little messiah complex.
Right. So did you appoint yourself head of the imaginary?
Yeah, I was basically Jesus.
Do you still keep in touch with the rest of the gang?
They were imaginary friends, so they sort of disappeared as soon as I stopped thinking about them.
What, did you have names for the guy-bys?
I think I borrowed names from people I knew at school and my brother. They were like Mark and Andrew and all the apostles.
Oh,
no. They were, and Chris.
Judas?
Chris isn't.
Chris, and obviously Judas Iscariot.
Yes.
Did you have a favourite guy-by?
Chris was good.
Did you have a rival gang, the guy-bys? Was there a feud or anything like that?
Well, there was always our main enemy was the Joker, which I think I borrowed from Batman.
What would he do, the Joker?
Oh, just, rob banks and stuff, and we would, we'd chase him on our bike.
Old trouble, 13.
I mean, they were very good at getting on the back of the bike.
You were like a Red Cross display team, weren't you?
They were. I sort of imagine them sort of diagonally stacked.
Did you all sleep in one bed?
Oh, they weren't really... I mean...
This
is pretty... As much as I encourage the guy boys... No, they were very much a pre-sexual phenomenon.
Have we established yet why they were actually called the guy-bys?
No, it's just the sort of sound that children make. Well, that this child made.
See, the thing is, guy-by sounds like baby talk. It might be like just some words that you formulated, but you also were aware of Marvel comic enemies at that age.
Batman wasn't a Marvel character.
Batman wasn't Marvel?
No. Marvel's Spider-Man, Captain America, the Hulk. Superman was Action Comics.
I hate him when he does that Stephen Fry thing, don't you? All that knowledge.
All that knowledge. An answer is what we need, so... Go now.
Just a minute. Are you doing me again?
I'm flirting round the edges of you, Terry. If you're not careful, I'll set fire to you. Right. Right, what are you going to say, then? What are you, truth or lie?
Sounds plausible. Young guy, read a few comics, read the Bible, merged the two in his head and formed the guy-bys.
Wow. It's like having Inspector Frost in the studio with us. What about you, Katie? Which way are you leaning?
Well, I think he clearly has a wonderful imagination. That's clear. So I think, yes, it's true.
OK. I will say it's true.
You're going to say true? OK. Robert Webb, truth or lie?
It is a true thing.
Yes, it was all true. When Robert was a child, he did form an imaginary gang from his many imaginary friends. It may seem odd, but loads of people have tons of imaginary friends. It's called being on Facebook.
As a child, rather than sleeping with a comfort blanket or teddy bear, I slept with a potato.
Lee Mack, what do you think?
Was it the same potato, or did you have different potatoes over the years?
Well, that was the problem, because you get attached to a potato. So, when you get attached to a potato, it's rotting a bit, but it's your comfort. It's like your teddy bear's smells of your old teddy bear, or whatever it happens to be. The potato is my favourite potato, and I used to draw on it.
So it was one potato the whole time?
The actual truth is, it was taken away from me, and I cried and I cried and I cried, but they threw it out. So it took me like another 3 or 4 weeks to get used to the new potato.
Dale, did they have names, your potatoes?
No.
You slept with a potato that you didn't even know its name?
Well...
Yes, slag!
Did you hug them? Did you have them close to your face?
I used to put it on the pillow like that, and I used to bash it.
Bash it? Why did you bash it? Is that how you show love, Dale?
What's the bashing?
Well, I used to like the dent it made in the pillow.
Oh, so you'd bash it onto the pillow and then you'd sleep...
And I would take it out, so that's where you're going to bed later.
Be honest, Dale. Is the truth of this story that your parents would shout through the door, "What are you doing in there?" And you'd say, "Nothing, just bashing the potato"?
You haven't asked me why I stopped, and this is why you'll realise...
Oh, Dale, why did you stop?
Because Mrs. Marks, who was our next-door neighbour, I heard her talking to my mother in the driveway, and I heard Mrs. Marks say to my mother, "Is he still sleeping with a potato?" I think that they've been talking about it, and she probably said to Mrs. Marks, did any of your children ever want to sleep with a potato?
So what are you thinking, Lee?
Miranda.
I sort of want it to be true, because he's so sweet.
Yeah.
I do think the two winning things are that that's where you're going to sleep and Mrs. Marks.
What do you know, Marks?
Is he still
That's the
sleeping
thing.
with
I
her?
think Mrs. Marks exists.
Yeah.
And I like Mrs. Marks. I like what she represents. She represents the sanity of the street.
And the beauty
Whereas
is...
the Wintons, they're all over the shop.
So what are you going to say, Lee? What's it going to be?
What do you think?
I think
do you think it's true?
I do think it's true.
I think it's true.
All right, I'll go with my team and say that it's true.
You're saying it's true. OK. Dale Winton, the potato in the bed. Was it the truth or was it a lie?
I have slept with many things over the years because I'm a very old man, but I have never slept with a potato. It's a lie.
Yes, it was a very convincing lie. As a child, Dale didn't sleep with a potato. Richard, you're next.
OK. When I worked in McDonald's, my long-term girlfriend joined the queue to my till, and when she got to the counter, she dumped me.
Lee. Lee.
So how old were you?
I was 18. I think I was 18.
OK, so you're 18 years old.
How long did you consider a long-term girlfriend to be when you were 18?
Well, she was actually my first girlfriend. Her name was, presumably is, Kate. Not in touch, she could have died. I mean, I don't know. You know, but,
yeah, look on the bright side.
Kay dumped you. Was she special?
She was. She was.
It's a special K joke. I'm not explaining it all. Am I allowed to mention Special K, Rob, or do I have to mention crunching on cornflakes?
Well, I think when it comes to breakfast cereals, there is one that stands head and shoulders above all the rest.
So how long was long-term?
2 years. But when you're 18, that's a long-term
Can
relationship.
you remember what she said to you?
I can't actually, Miranda, no. But what made it doubly heartbreaking was I loved that job, and...
What?
Well, you didn't get a sack, did you?
Well, no, but I loved the job, and then she came in and broke my heart at this place that meant so much to me, and that added to the emotional impact of what she said.
What was it about the job that you loved so much?
Let me tell you a fact about this place. This is amazing, right? The regular meat, which is the meat that goes in their signature burger, it goes from frozen to fully cooked in 44 seconds. I found this amazing.
Fascinating. Well, I wonder why she dumped you.
I think we should get back to the girl. Well, she got to the front of the queue. She dumped me there and then. And I left my station, didn't serve the other customers, and then I went to the storeroom and I sat on a box of gherkins. And I cried my eyes out.
Oh, that's gherkins for you, though.
Kay put in her order. She puts in her order and says, I would like burger.
Okay.
Kate.
Oh, that changes everything.
What's her name? Kate. Hang on, Richard, what's her name?
Special K joke doesn't work. I didn't want to say anything.
No.
Oh, it's Kate.
That's Kate.
Yeah. I thought it deserved a bigger laugh.
I wondered why the hell you said it. You're always trying to work it round to crunchy nut. Leave him alone.
I don't. Richard, you be young Richard, OK, at the counter of this fast food outlet.
OK.
David, you are a normal customer.
Okay.
Dale is Kate.
Oh. Could I please have a fillet o fish, but with no cheese? Hold the cheese, and put the cheese on the chips, please.
But not with cheese and bread.
Excuse me, where are the toilets?
They're actually just next to my till, actually. The door's just about there.
I'll, see you later, Kate.
You got it. Oh, gosh, it's my girlfriend, Kate. Hello, Kate.
Well, I thought I'd come in and see you tonight. I haven't heard from you. What's funny about
Oh, it's Meryl Streep in The Iron Lady.
I'm afraid, Richard, it's over. You're just not my kind of guy.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Wonderful. So what are you thinking, Lee? Does this sound credible to you?
I'm suddenly going truth, and I think he was dumped in a queue at said burger joint.
I find it staggering that he remembers all the facts that he remembers about how long it takes meat to defrost, and yet he cannot remember what she actually said when she got to the front of the queue.
But is he...
The answer to that is he's a man.
So, Lee, what's it going to be? Truth or lie?
Are we going... You're saying lie, Claire? Is that what you're saying? Miranda says true.
Yeah.
Go on, we'll go with Miranda and say it's true.
You're going to say it's true? OK. Richard Bacon, was that the truth or was it a lie?
That story is true.
Yes, it's true. When Richard worked in a fast food restaurant, his long-term girlfriend joined the queue to his till and dumped him when she got to the counter. And then, to rub salt in the wound, she ordered a